For years, Nikki Silva has supported others' entertainment visions through various roles, from acting to producing, directing, and even singing in a band. Now it's time for Nikki to be the focus, to be at the center of the stage. Dropping her debut album, Thank You Places, in May 2025, the multi-hyphenate is putting music first. For now. In our conversation, we explore Nikki's wondrous, dynamic career from her captivating dramatic acting in short films like Eve to being in the reggae band The Big Happy and much more. It was also great to hear how passionate Nikki was and is about her acting career and long-term goals of being a top-tier actress. For Thank You Places, she collaborated with the veteran producer Teddy Kimball to create an eclectic swirl of pop punk, hip hop, and R&B music. Nikki does a fantastic job taking the listener into the places she's been and equipping them with the resiliency to persevere. Nikki is a pure soul and was a delight to speak with. I hope you thoroughly enjoy this conversation and share it far and wide with any creatives out there looking to activate their ambition in concrete ways. Take care. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the If Ever You're Listening podcast. I'm your host, Stanley C. And today we have a very special guest, the one, the only Nikki Silva. Thank you so much, Nikki, for coming to the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I want to talk to you about so much. There's a lot of great projects and types of art you do. But I want to start from the beginning, actually. I want to start with you as a kid and kind of take us back to two things. One is, how were you like as a kid? Were you outgoing, more quiet? And how did you find music as a kid?
Cool. I love that question. I was definitely more quiet, reserved, shy as a child. My little sister was the outgoing one, and I was kind of like very mature to myself, tried to like take care of my siblings, and very similarly to how I am now, I was always writing and like working on stories. Like I would go on the computer, like I would ask the adult in the room, can I use your computer? And I would type out scenes and then like hand out the papers to everyone and like make them act when I was like 7. So I was always just trying to make everyone act and do like theater stuff. And yeah, I wrote my first song when I was 8, and I kind of just always was drawn to being alone and writing, as opposed to, I wasn't very popular. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was never really good at socializing.
Well, it is amazing that you were able to take that skill and then apply it to not just writing songs, but you write plays, you write music video treatments, you write a lot of different things. But before we get to that, kind of the big stuff you're kind of doing, you're starting to write songs at 8 years old. At what point are you performing or getting in front of people to perform, whether it's
Hmm.
acting or singing?
I Well, I took dance classes when I was little. My grandma got me dance classes, and I remember being on stage and performing at the recitals and feeling like I loved it so much. Like it was just like one number, but just being on stage, I fell in love with it. And then I did jazz choir in middle school, and I really loved that, but I was so shy. So I don't even think my teachers realized how much I loved it. Like it took everything in me just to audition for the solo. I would get very nervous. And I never really thought I had a good voice. And then when I was 20, I started taking acting classes, and I met some people in the acting class who were also musicians, and we started writing music together. And they gave me the contact to a vocal coach, and then I started, training my voice, and that's when I started getting the confidence to really perform and feel like, my ears were training because I don't like have that natural. I don't think I have like a natural vocal ability, if that makes sense. Like it was kind of like writing came really easy to me, but singing I had to learn and I had to train my ear so I didn't go off pitch all the time.
Oh, that's fascinating. And if I did my research correctly, you didn't start as a solo artist. You started as part of a group.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this group. And it's musically, it's different than what you make. as a solo artist. So
Yeah.
how did you create the group, I should say, or found?
The group was created from an acting class. We were just all friends in the class, and there was a rapper, a guitar player, and me. And we kind of just all hung out. We did a play together, a three-person play, and we just became really good friends and we started making music. And at the time, I was more of like a backup vocalist, I guess. And then as the band went on, I stepped up to more of it being like a three-man fronted band. Um, and that was really fun. I did that for many years with them. And I think that there was definitely always a little part of me in the music. But now, if you listen to my music, it's like and like I've had people tell me, like, I can hear the part of you from that band in your new music. So it was like one third of me was in the band, and now this is like fully me in my solo project.
So cool. Highly recommend, guys. The Big Happy is what
Yes.
this group is called. Um, okay, so there's a gap. If I did this correctly as well, found this correctly, there's a gap between the Big Happy and your solo career, and you're doing other things. So I kind of want to talk now outside of
Yeah.
music and talk about a couple different directions. So the first one is acting. You do act on stage, on Law and Order, and short films, and like I watched a little bit of Eve before this interview, and I'm just blown
Aw.
away by your acting abilities. My heart was sinking, and the boy, he's a great, really good actor too. But I was particularly struck by you because of how many difficult situations you were put in that film, and you were applying really good acting skills for each scene. It was very, very believable. And at one point I was like, "Am I interviewing Eve? Am I going to be interviewing Nikki?" Because it's
Aw, I
so
love
I
that.
want to talk to Eve actually. She did as
Yeah.
well. There's so much in there. So, but tell me a little bit about that. How did you go about your act? How are you going about your acting career? And what were those first couple years like?
Yeah, so acting has always been, I think, my number one. Like, I remember being in a big music producer's studio when I was like 21, and he pretty much asked me, like, if I had to pick one thing, what I would pick. And I told him to his face, like, acting. I just love acting so much. I love being able to share the experience of emotion and stories like by becoming another character. It's just there's like nothing like it to me. I could cry talking about it. So, yeah, I right now in my life, and I think I've always kind of been like this, but right now it's just I'm really going for it. I kind of put acting as the number one career choice. Like that's what I'm doing. Like that's what I'm like want to pursue 100% and make my money doing. And music is more how I cope with, um, acting not always working out, if that makes sense. So, like, at least, tomorrow morning, if I'm not waking up and going to set, I can go into the studio and write a song and share my own personal human experience. And it's a really nice balance being able to do both. I feel very lucky and blessed to have music because I know a lot of my acting friends who don't have music. I'm like, what do you guys do when you're not acting? Like, where do you put all that emotion?
That's so fascinating. And speaking of balance, you do balance a lot. So it sounds like, you have the acting, and when you want, if that's not happening at the moment, you're balancing music, but you also are balancing a nonprofit. And there's a nonprofit you founded as well, which I want to hear more
Yes.
about because it sounded like it came from your own experience in pageantry. But tell me a little bit about how, because I've heard you talk about it, but I actually was like, can you go a little bit deeper and like
Sure.
how did you actually start the nonprofit?
So the exceptional pageant. I've always been fascinated with beauty pageants, and I wasn't allowed to do them for whatever reason. Like my grandparents, who mostly raised me, I guess there was like a stigmatism, around like pageants and like, oh, you have to be in a bathing suit or whatever. And I kind of more saw it as like, no, this is something where women get to, run charity events and like do all the things that I kind of liked to do. Um, while also like being glammed up and whatever, or like having a talent and just showcasing like different women.
Mm.
So I had a friend with a daughter who had autism and she was my age. And I was like, wouldn't it be so cool to showcase people like Karina? Like, because she's also just as amazing as me and has talents and wants to help people and has this personality and likes to get glammed up. But it's just harder to, you know, showcase that. And there at the time wasn't any like pageantry for people with developmental disabilities. And I'm like, wouldn't it be a cool way to raise awareness and also show that there's powerful women who might not look like Miss America on TV, you know? So we started developing this pageant. The first year there was 5 girls, the second year there was 20 girls. And then I started getting requests for boys to join. And I'm like, why not? Guys could be kings too. So, so then we added the guy factor, and it's been like 12 years. We there was 2 years where we didn't do the pageant. One was during the pandemic, and one was last year because we couldn't get the venue in time. But other than that, every single year we've done it. And it's just the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And seeing these, amazing individuals just be themselves completely and have no limitations. Like, it's called a disability, but I like to call it a different ability because there's nothing that can really stop them.
Yes.
And there's always a way to make the experience unique to everyone's, disadvantage, and whatever help that they need, we try to get it for them. So there's, some contestants who might be nonverbal and some contestants who need a little bit more assistance, or, other contestants who, are starting their own photography business. So the range is grand, and I try not to put limitations on that either because I just want everyone to have this opportunity. And um, it's a lot of work, but it is so worth it. And I love doing it. And I don't like ever want to stop doing it.
The exceptional pageant, folks, look that up. It's really, really special, and you're special for making that, Nikki. It's when I was doing my research, I'm like, what aren't you doing? What like it's really, really inspiring. Um, Going back to the music, so you're acting, but you want to create your own project and your own music. And it sounds like you went in this very minimalist approach with just your Brooklyn apartment, a mic, and like inspiration. So tell me a little bit about like the making of the album,
Yeah.
how that was for you.
So I didn't go into the year thinking I'm going to make an album this year. I went into this year thinking I'm going to take as many acting classes as I can. I'm going to meet casting directors. So this album kind of fell into my lap in a way. My godfather my godfather introduced me to the producer, Teddy, who's his friend, who's Joe Jackson's guitar player. And me and my friend Yuta, we were writing a song, and my godfather said, why don't you bring the song to Teddy? So we brought the song to Teddy. That was the maintenance man. And Teddy was like, why don't you keep coming over and keep making music? And I was like, okay. And my godfather said that he would fund the project because he loves my creativity, he loves Teddy's creativity, and he thought it would be a great creative synergy, which it totally was. And once a week for the whole year, I would go there. And we never set a goal to make an album or finish anything. We just kind of wrote, wrote. And then every single song we wrote, I was like, let's just make an album. Like eventually at some point, I was like, this is an album. And and it was just a very natural, easy flow. And now that I, went through the process of putting out an album, I'm like, okay, that was a lot of work. So I kind of had to put a lot of things on hold. I mean, even like every morning when I wake up, I have a list of like 15 things I need to do before I even start my day
Hmm.
for the album, because I'm not somebody who can just do something half-ass. Like I have to go so hard. So I'm like, this album needs to be heard. So my focus has definitely shifted. It started out as an easy thing that was supposed to just be for fun, and now I'm like, solo artist music career. Let's go.
No, I that's what I'm getting to. It's like because you're so in the music right now. I'm like, you're a musician. Like you're full-fledged. You always were, but you're like a full-fledged solo musician. And musically, you are so much. You're pop. I've read a couple people saying you're like soft pop. I don't really see soft pop. I see more
Mhm.
like pop punk. I see
Mhm.
like alternative R&B. I see more like even there's a little bit of rap, there's a little bit of jazz. I felt like I was hearing a little bit of Jesse Reyes. Really
Love that.
beautiful stuff. And but you take it to like the next level. It's like what Jesse's doing, but you're doing a whole bunch of other really cool stuff. So I want to get into the music so the people listening kind of like if you're into this kind of stuff, which you should be, this is what you're gonna get with Thank You Places. But let's start with the theme. So why Thank You Places? What is the overall theme you want the listener to get from this album?
Yeah, so thank you places is a term that we use in theater when we are about to start the show. The stage manager comes backstage and says to all the actors, 5 minutes till places. And the actors kind of say back, thank you, places, as a way to confirm that we heard them. Well, actually, the stage manager says 10 minutes till places. We say thank you, places, 5 minutes, thank you, places, and then places, thank you, places. Like we're in our spot, we're ready to go. So I'm like, that's what this album feels like to me, is I'm like backstage with my makeup and hair done and I'm ready for the curtain to open and I'm in places. And thank you places like also could mean like thank you to all the places I've been. So I think that what I want people to take away from the album and how it relates to the title is like, let's just go. Like LFG. Like, we're ready. We're here. Like, this is life. This is my life. And I think that a lot of people can relate. I do put a lot of lyrics in my music, and I think I get specific, but I try not to get too specific that it can't relate to everyone. Um, but I think that the biggest takeaway is just trying to make light of tragic things that happen and know that like you can just keep pedaling on and you can run away from all the things that hold you back and be use whatever's left of you to just do your dreams. And I think that it took me a long time to kind of accept that I am an artist and I have a voice, and there might be millions of other people who are also artists, but I used to think that like, the world doesn't need my artistry. Like there's so many other people trying to be artists. Like I'll help them or I'll, use my talents elsewhere. And then one day I just realized, like, I showed or sent my friend my song, and she just was like, I needed this song so bad today. And I'm like, there's so many songs that you could have listened to, but like, you needed this song. So maybe there is room for me. Maybe I am like different and unique enough and bring a perspective that is needed in, entertainment. So, I think accepting that was part of the album as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of intertwining themes and messages
So
in Thank You Places.
we're gonna get to the themes because I want to stop just by saying like your message is important and your artistry is important. So please, I hope this is the first of many albums that we get from a Nikki Silva because it's I want like a rock album from you. I want like a jazz album from you. You could do it's like genuinely really, really fun. But thematically, I wrote relatable actually when I was like reviewing the album because when it comes to songs like Maintenance Man or Cleaning Lady, or even Rebels, the way you're talking about your childhood and pedaling on, there's a sense of resilience. And so when it comes to resilience and being mindful and present, like in Maintenance Man, like people could see the Maintenance Man, like ignore them, but you're like paying attention to them, you're attracted to them, but you're also paying attention to like what they're doing, like the value they're presenting is which is really what I was paying attention to in the lyrics.
Mm.
How do you think of yourself in terms of being a resilient person? Do you find yourself to be resilient? And was that intentionally placed into the album?
Yeah, I'm really happy you brought up that word because I almost named the album Resilience.
Yeah.
Last year on my birthday, I released a spoken word on my Instagram, and it starts out with, if I could change my name to Resilience, I would. And that's kind of like my whole life. I've had to be resilient. I've had to face adversities and struggles and grow up really fast. And I could have chose a different path many times, but I always chose to be resilient and rise above. And yeah, like I think that whether it was subconsciously or purposely put in the album, like it's there. And I'm really happy that you noticed that and chose to use that word because I feel very connected to that word.
Well, yeah, it's in there. I felt more resilient by the end of it. One, because I didn't know
Oh.
your story. And so like the stuff you were talking about, I couldn't have even like thought of that, you going through some of the things you, and I won't spoil it for the listener, but it's very, very heartening. But then there's like this confidence that comes out in the other songs. And so I was comparing like the struggle with the confidence I'm hearing in like Psycho Girlfriend or or even in Rebels. Our manic episode is really what I'm thinking about. But doing that duality, I thought was really powerful and it was an example of your character. And so I wanted to give you that praise because it's not all artists do that. They're either like too cool for school or they're depressing all the time. And you're
Right.
towing the line, which is really powerful.
Thank you.
Um, no problem. Speaking of drawing and like painting a picture, you also have a music video. At the Scream Queen yourself in for Psycho Girlfriend. So talk to me about curating and creating that music video
Uh,
and what did you want the fans to get out of that?
Psycho Girlfriend was the funnest thing I have ever done. And I love horror. I am like big horror fan. And so is my friend Mark Frotto, who made the music video with me. And at first, we just started out kind of filming different things. I was like, maybe I'll make some reels. And then eventually, I was like, no, this is a music video. We're remaking as many horror films as we can. And I'm pretty sure we did like 30. We referenced 30 different horror films in the music video.
Wow.
Um, and it was mostly supposed to be like fun and just like a distraction from, everything that's not fun in the world. But at the same time, like the deeper message is kind of like I at first I named the song I was gonna name it Psycho Boyfriend. But then I'm like, you know what? That's kind of putting all the blame on the other person when I willingly cast myself in this horror.
Mhm.
So I was like, let's make it Psycho Girlfriend because actually I made all these decisions. I chose to be in these relationships. So I kind of wanted, in a fun way, to use that as a metaphor of me being in all of these different horror films, like being the final girl, being the scream queen, you are my killer boyfriend at the end in the psycho shower. Um, yeah, and it was just kind of like a play on me being, I say like friends with the monster in the attic, and I don't know, he's mean to me, but like I don't believe that. I think that he actually really likes me and we can have a great time together.
I love that line. And even the little skit at the end, you're like, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. It's like
Exactly, because the
brilliant.
physical part of those toxic relationships is usually what keeps them together. So I wanted to show that in a fun way.
Well, it's fun, it's entertaining, it's creative. When I watched the video and then I found out you were the director of it, I was like, of course she is. Like that's the type of talent I'm always excited to work with and and talk to because there's so much creativity in you. Okay, that this could be a question for you. How do you manage it? Because it seems like you could be thinking about a music video, a song, a movie.
Hmm.
Do you compartmentalize these things, or do you see it all as one creative stream that you just look for outlets later down the line?
Yeah, I try not to let any ideas just go,
Mm.
which can be stressful because, I'm working on a comedy TV pilot at the same time of writing a song with this producer, that producer, doing a rap to this beat, grabbing a play off my shelf because I randomly feel the need to like act out a monologue. Like, so it's a lot being in here, but I try to, prioritize, I guess,
Mhm.
the creativity and say, like, okay, what is going to serve me best now while still honoring whatever I'm being inspired to create in the moment.
Phenomenal. I mentioned that also because I see a guitar and a mic behind you. So I'm like, when she's ready to create, it sounds like you
Oh,
could
yeah.
create pretty quickly.
Yeah. A lot of my, like, some of my songs from the album, like, originated on me just playing the keyboard and then bringing it as a demo to Teddy or playing it on the ukulele and bringing it as a demo. Like, Voices, the first song on the album, was originally a ukulele song. And I brought it to Teddy on my ukulele and I was like, I want to make this like more of a rock driving vibe instead of like a cutesy ukulele song. And yeah, so it's cool to be able to have somebody who can transpose something with my capabilities to this like grand song.
And along those lines, the album is really well mixed, I was noticing. It's like
Cute.
debut album, I was like, okay, it's gonna be a little scrappy, a little amateurish, but in like a endearing way. But it's like really well produced. Like I noted that for a few songs, even like Whatever's Left of Me. I was like, her vocals are so clean. The guitar sounds so crisp. The guitar's on a lot like real even. So shout out Teddy. Shout out you.
Yeah,
Because you guys, I could tell your ears were paying attention to the quality of the music, not just.
thank you. Yeah, no, he's a pro's pro. Bob Sander did the mastering, and yeah, it was just I was working with like, the we call them the vintage crew. I was working with the vintage crew for this one, so they've been around the block, and I think that you can also kind of hear the vintage sound, like like the way it's mixed and mastered feels kind of 70s, feels kind of, the way music used to be before we brought in these other elements of production, which I love every kind of production. I find value in it all, but it was kind of cool that my debut album can be more of this like raw vintage sound because that's kind of like where my soul was at when I made it.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's not overly synthesized, but there is a place for synth pop, like a really, really important place for that. Okay. Well, those were my specific to you questions. So we are out of the Nikki Silva questions. We can go back if there's anything that comes back. But now we're entering the if ever you're listening questions. So these are podcasts called If Ever You're Listening. I ask all the guests these four questions, slightly fixed for the artist because sometimes I'm talking to a writer, somebody, a multi hyphenate like you could do multiple things, sometimes just a singer, sometimes just a producer. So, but it starts out always the same question. Nikki, what are you listening to these days?
I listen to so many different things. I actually, Mac Miller, for whatever reason, the last 2 days, I sometimes every now and then I'll go back on a Mac Miller kick.
Mm,
Um,
oh, man.
so I have been bumping him a lot lately. The Jessie Reyez new album, Paid in Memories, is amazing. I'm seeing her July 1st.
Ooh.
John Bellion's new album. I'm a huge John Bellion fan. I'm seeing him in August at the Forest Hills Stadium.
Oh,
Whenever I need a pick me up, I listen to Harry Styles, um, his latest album. It does something to me. It like immediately puts me in a good mood and makes me feel loved. Um,
To show out. Nice. That's visual.
yeah, no, everybody jokes about Harry Styles being like my boyfriend because I'm like, he loves me when I put on his record. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm listening to these days, as in like the last month.
Crazy pick. No, great pick. I'll be at the Forest Hills show too. I live in Jersey, but I work in New York. So me and my friends were huge John Bellion fans. I could hear maybe a little John and you too. It's John, his voice, his production's magnificent and always theatrical. And I never talked about the theatrics of your music too. I was going to mention that I think with voices and even a lot of the songs because there's like skits and things, but also sometimes the way you'll rap is not, it's almost like how you would rap on Broadway.
Right, like Hamilton.
Like a Hamilton, exactly. So
Yeah.
I was like, wait, where did that come from? Then I did my research and found out you're big in theater. Next question. What song of yours, and this is, it's harder for people with a lot of music. You have singles, you have the album, but maybe even for you, from what you're seeing, from the feedback you're getting,
hmm
what song of yours so far do you find to be the most underrated or underappreciated, and why?
Hmm. My favorite song on the album is probably Whatever's Left of Me.
Mm,
I do find that a lot of people who really listen to the album also agree with that, but I think I haven't found the way to promote it yet. I
mm,
think when I do that, it will have a big impact. Um, I mean, I love Manic Episode. That's why I chose it as a single, and I have a music video for it as well. And for whatever reason, I don't think people really responded to it. Um,
it's the
because
one.
it's so different and it has like so many different vibes coming at you at once.
Yep.
And I'm screaming and then I'm doing this like silly little rap and it's kind of like a joke of
Mm,
a song.
yeah.
But like sometimes it like sounds very serious. I don't know. Yeah, it's I mean also voices I feel like other I like there I have a couple people who are really close to me who love voices, but no one ever really brings that up. People always bring up the most random songs that is their favorite, and I'm like, really? That one?
You like this hate? No, I'm kidding. No.
Yeah, no, a lot of people were like, I love the cleaning lady, and I'm like, really? So then I started making content for it, and the content didn't do as good. So I'm like, I don't know what people really.
I thought they would have said Run Girl. That's where I'm at.
A lot of people do say that to me, yeah. And I'm like, that's the one that almost didn't make it on the album because I thought it was a little like corny or like
Yeah.
too specific to my life. I actually changed the rap to Run Girl to Girl Run like last minute. I had a completely different rap in there and I just got like cold feet with it. So I kind of just like rambled off this like very basic rap like right before the final mix. I actually improv'd the end of that rap on the album.
God damn. Well, the flow is hard. You were rapping. So
That's another thing I was like, I want to have like a flow, like a
yeah.
hard flow. Like I want to rap. So I came in kind of like with that intention. Because I'm like, wait, I want to show people like I can also rap.
Seriously,
Um,
seriously. And you did a live, you did like a video, I should say. It's not your video, it's like this guy who lets people come onto the desk and rap. And I wanted to give you your flowers for that because you're rapping on that as well.
thank
And
you.
like you're rapping. It's don't sleep on Nikki's rapping skills. I
Thank
want to
you.
see you on the radar one day. I want to see you.
Yeah, that's like one of my goals
Yeah,
for next year.
get that.
I don't know how to get on it, but I want to.
I find out, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
If I talk to an artist one day that it gets on there, I'm gonna go like, have you met Nikki?
Thanks.
The next question, and I'm curious, you could answer this in whatever way you want. It's specific to artists, but because you do other things in the industry, you could go in other ways. But I like to ask this question just to see how artists depict the industry and what they want to change. So if you could change anything about the industry, for you, it could be the entertainment industry. What would it be and why?
Hmm. That's such a hard question because essentially, just I guess change about the industry. It's so hard because
Mhm.
I guess, yeah, I don't even know because it's just, it's such a specific thing and there's like so many details that would have to be designed for me to change something. But, um,
Like if you met a magic genie
right, that's like such a hard question.
and he's like, I could help you with your music career right now, but you have to change one thing about the industry to do it. What would it be? It's like maybe it's specific to this album rollout for you. Maybe that's
I guess that like I feel like the money behind an artist is what helps them get pushed out, as opposed to like people are always like, yeah, in the old days you can just like play all these bars in the city and like a record label comes and watches and scouts you and like chooses you. And that's kind of like the Hollywood old style like thought of how you become a musician, where now it's like you have to just have so much money and like push it on the internet yourself,
yeah,
and it's harder to get like a label to sign you without already doing all this work on your own. And it's like you can't really do the work on your own without the money. So if there was a magical way to eliminate money from the equation of art,
yeah.
that's what I would do.
That no, that makes 100% sense because it's just the art. It's just like the attention the art gets, not the money you can make, not the money you have to make to push the art out. That makes
Exactly.
sense. Yeah, all those freaking like once Instagram did the ads, like you could pay for ads. It kind of messed the whole game up because now people are just paying to get massive. And if you have more money than a person with $50,000, you have $5 million, you're gonna crush the $50,000 person, no matter how good that album is. And
Exactly.
that pisses me off. That's kind of why I started this. It's just to give people
Mhm.
get another avenue. It's like a free avenue to see more people. And I'm a fan first, so it's also spoiled. I'm spoiled. Okay, so next question, last question. If you can talk to Nikki 10 years ago, or even an artist now who's where you were 10 years ago, um, from your experience, what advice would you give them and in terms of their career, how to think about their artistry?
I guess I would say like don't think that it can't be you. Like you have this burning desire to do this thing, tell these stories, like that's coming from somewhere. That's not an accident. And if you work hard enough and don't like be embarrassed. It's okay to fall on your feet and it's okay to be cringe. Just be yourself and like keep doing it. And like, there's no reason why it can't be you. Because I definitely told myself, that it can't be me. And I wish I didn't because that was very silly. And I should have just, I was always also afraid of, like looking stupid, or I didn't want to like post myself because I don't know, like I didn't want to be judged for like being narcissistic or like, oh, like posting myself. And then one day I'm just like, dude, you're making these, like, you have to post yourself. You are the brand, like, or wear a mask and make that your brand. But like,
Like Marshmallow or somebody.
yeah, exactly. Like I'm not Marshmallow or Sia, like I'm
Okay,
Nikki. And like if people have a problem with that, then that's not like
that's their problem.
move on.
Yep.
You have too much to give to like worry about that. So
Very, very powerful advice. And I think that's going to speak to a lot of people. Thank you so much, Nikki. Where can people find you? Are you performing live these days? I've seen a
yeah.
couple videos.
So Instagram, Nikki and Silva. That's pretty much across the board my tag, NIKKIANNSILVA. I'm playing in Fire Island next weekend. I don't know when this is coming out, but I'm also playing Great South Bay Music Festival in July with Damien and Stephen Marley, July 25th.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to start an immersive experience with my music at the Slipper Room in the Lower East Side. So I did my album release party there in June, and I have a crazy theatrical show planned for September 25th at the Slipper Room. Again, I'll be back with an even crazier show, so that's going to be really special.
New York listeners, I know you guys are not all in New York, but you guys know where to be September 25th. That sounds super, super cool. Thank you so much, Nikki. This was a pleasure. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.